Barber here, and I'd like to demonstrate how I put this third wheel on my bike when I fold it on my Lectric XP so that I can roll it around, especially into my car, without wrecking my back. So the first thing I do is you notice that the crank turns in one direction freely, and in the other direction it drives the wheel. Well, that's great when you're riding, but it's not acceptable when you're trying to maneuver it in tight places. So I found that the easiest thing to do is to slip the chain off. I have here a very simple tool. It's just 2 washers with a spacer between and a little handle. And hopefully you'll be able to see this. I put it down here on the chain, and then I push as I'm turning the crank, and it just brings it right off onto the crank box without getting grease on my hands. And I just store that in a little plastic bottle. And the advantage now is the crank can turn in any direction I want, and I'm not going to lock up the wheels. Second thing I do, if you do nothing else, do this. Take the key out. Because when you fold it, if the pedal gets caught underneath there, it'll shear the key right off. So very, very important. So now I'm ready to install the wheel. And you'll see that it's got this U-shaped piece here. It's got just enough spring to lock in. So I take this, and it goes in the down tube, and it's there we go. So I don't know how well you can see this, but on the XP 1.0, the down tube goes all the way through. On the step through, it doesn't. I'm not sure about the 2.0, but you can see now I've got the wheel in there, and notice that I didn't have to lift the bike up to do this. There's enough clearance that I can just push it up in there, and I've chosen the height so when I fold it up, the bike is still relatively horizontal. I just find it's easier to handle. Okay, now we just tilt the bike forward, bring up the kickstand, and I'm going to fold in the pedals, and I release the latch. And now, as I pivot this around, I just ride this. Just as I pivot it around, I now rest on the wheel, and now it's a simple matter to bring this back wheel forward, the back wheel towards me, and see if I can bring this around so it's easier for you to see. So now, take that pannier out of the way. I want to get these wheels to stay somewhat together. So I have here a disc that screws onto the axle, the front axle, and when I push down on the kickstand, it engages. It's not super strong. I don't want it to be super strong. I don't want it to damage the kickstand if they pull apart, but it's just enough so that the front wheel doesn't have a mind of its own. Now, you can see how easy it is to move it around. Now, it's really designed to move forward and back, which is mostly what I want to do when I'm loading and unloading. If I want to turn it, what I do is tilt the bike so it's off of that front wheel, and oops, I didn't mean that to happen. But you can see that the third wheel did drop out. Now it's unexpected, but not a big deal. I'll just put it back in. May need to put in a little retainer on there. But as long as I'm not lifting it up, that's certainly not going to happen. So I can roll it back and forth. And then when I'm done, I come back over here. I release the kickstand, pivot the bike, bring the front back around, latch it, lower the kickstand, pop out the third wheel, and let me turn the bike around so you can see. I'm now going to put the chain back on. So I have my little tool, and I just lay it on the chain and just dress it right back on the sprocket. And I'm good to go. I do have the gear at the highest, so it's at 7. That seems to work just fine. So hopefully this will give you an idea of what can be done. And hopefully the audio quality is better with this wireless mic. So that's all for now.